Didn't forget to unmic my mic this time. Alrighty, welcome back, Sleuth Enthusiast. I am the Sleuthiest Enthusiast, Mocking Nimrod. Today we're just gonna... didn't really have anything planned today, so we're just really actually basically just chatting, having a video sleuthing session, I guess. What I wanted to cover today is going to be the moon. It's beautiful, majestic, so many different mythologies and folklores that were inspired by the moon. And most recently, the supermoon in Texas was visible, and apparently won't be visible again for the next about 13-ish years. So that was pretty exciting to see. Yeah, it was even still pretty visible. I guess not the supermoon, but the moon itself was quite visible this morning. Just driving into work, it was absolutely bonkers huge. But getting into it, like I said, topic moon sleuthing. It's the whole idea of the channel. So over here on this side, we have the name of our bug currently. It changes with every subscriber, so if you're enjoying the content, want to change that bug's name, feel free to just hit that subscribe button. Currently his name is Spazadelic, which seems kind of fitting, but if you'd like to change that name yourself, go ahead and hit that button during the stream. If you're enjoying it, hit a like, leave a comment, and yeah, let's just start getting into it. So we all know what the moon is, or at least I would hope we all know what the moon is. That big beautiful rock in the sky, just kind of sitting there, causes gravitational pulls on the ocean, creating a bunch of currents. Really weird stuff that the moon does, and because of the weird stuff it does, it's inspired a lot of weird folklore, a lot of interesting interpretations of what we consider beautiful, dark, scary. Just it even highlights, in a sense, things that are, the light. There's always that one argument that you can't know evil without knowing what true goodness, and vice versa. And so it just kind of plays on this whole trope of duality, and that's in a sense what the moon is. It's a perfect example of duality. Even when the sun is shining, there's always something that will reflect. Even when the sun isn't shining, there's always something that will reflect it back at us, unless it's the new moon, which is when there's no moon in the sky. Then I guess, one night of darkness. But when you learn about the moon, get into it, it's a necessary part of life. And even that dark cycle where there isn't any moon out, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to that in our world as well. So let's even start with that. Let's start with the benefits of a new moon. That wasn't cool. Benefits of a new moon. Benefits of a new moon in Aries. That might be good to look up next. New moons are like a zero starting point. The slate is wiped clean. This is spiritual shit, isn't it? I mean, can't always disregard how the spherical heavens affect us, but How the new moon affects the Earth. That would be a better starting point. How the new moon affects the Earth. Boop. Man, it's all talking. I mean, the moon's still there during a new moon, so it's not like there's any change in the actual field. If you think about it, what really happens in a new moon is the Earth's shadow is covering it. It's like an eclipse, I believe. What happens to phase? A new moon occurs when the moon is at its closest point to the sun in its orbit around Earth. During a new moon, the moon's surface appears dark because the illuminated side is facing away from Earth. This means there's no moonlight reflected to Earth for us to observe. So basically, here's a good little thing. So that's the new moon on the far right side of this picture. And so the sun, moon is here, Earth is here, the sun is over here. Light is casting, the illuminated side of the moon is here. So we just see the dark side of the moon, basically. That's what a new moon is the dark side of the moon. So, like I said, there's no effect, I guess, other than the lack of light. Are animals affected by the new moon? Animals may be affected by the new moon phase. During a new moon, animals may be more sensitive and have heightened senses, probably due to the lack of light. They may also be calmer and more affectionate. More about domesticated pets, I guess, probably because they know during the time in which naturally, instinctually, they should be on edge. They're probably just able to, and it's almost like probably a holiday for them now, almost like how Halloween is for us. We take all that scary shit so that we scare away the scary shit. But in the animal world sense, it's probably like, let's just fucking relax and not worry. It's Labor Day for us. Labor Day for the animals, Halloween for us. I don't know. It's like a mix of labor and Halloween. Laborween. Or they may be quieter because they're trying to not be eaten by a predator. However you may see it. I'm just saying there's different ways to look at this. The full moon may affect animals' emotions. For example, dogs may howl at the moon. Oh, the full moon. Let's just cycle right on into the full moon. The full moon may affect animals' emotions. Dog may howl at the moon, while cats may hide. Cats are known for being ambush predators, so they're probably hiding because there's more visibility around. And that visibility is probably more unamusing to them. Birds may become agitated or disoriented. Like I said, low visibility, but I don't think there's a whole lot of birds flying around at night. And if they were, it's Likely they were probably a bit agitated or confused before even taking flight, honestly. Other animals like oysters, sharks, and lions, such an odd group of animals, may be affected by the full moon. Let's look into that. Oysters close up their shells. Interesting. A January 19 paper published in Biology Letters found that oysters narrow their shells as a full moon draws near and widen their shells as moon diminishes. I wonder if that has something to do with the currents, like the ocean waves. Our findings indicate that oysters are able to sense moonlight despite its extremely low intensity compared with sunlight. Not drinking soda, so they're not quite as loud, but excuse me. Secondly, we demonstrated that oysters can detect if the moonlight is increasing or decreasing. Finally, we showed that oysters combine these two pieces of information to adjust their behavior. I didn't know that oysters had such pronounced behaviorisms. And there's a video about that. Let's just move on from that. Don't want to get any claim issues. Dogs and cats are more likely to require medical care. What? A 10-year study involving nearly 12,000 cases of dogs and cats treated at the Colorado State University's College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences Medical Center found the risk of medical emergencies is 28%. Not percent like a percentage, but it just cost a bit more. That's not, I mean, it is a bit of an issue for broke people, but and they did it again. Such a weird typo to have. Greater for cats in the days surrounding a full moon. The types of emergencies range from cardiac arrest. There's no fucking periods in this. The types of emergencies range from cardiac arrest to epileptic seizures. Oh, there's one. And trauma. While the data did not provide conclusive results, experts believe one possible explanation for the increase in feline accident is a full moon may increase luminosity, leading to increased nocturnal hunting. So they're probably ambushing something and trying to hide somewhere. It was actually a big problem a while ago. I remember in high school hearing a lot about cats accidentally getting their collars stuck in branches and fences. So always get a snap away collar. Good piece of advice. Always get a snap away collar if you have an outdoor cat and indoor cat. It's just don't take the risk. I would also recommend that for a dog too, maybe. Probably not while you're walking them and you have them supervised, but when they're not supervised, it's best. Anyways, moving on. The types of emergencies range from cardiac arrest to epileptic seizures and trauma. What the fuck? I can understand trauma. Typically that means like some sort of like bad injury. Epileptic seizures is an interesting increase of issues. While the data did not provide conclusive results, experts believe one possible explanation for the increase in feline accidents is the full moon may increase luminosity, leading to increase. Wait, shit, I just read that twice, didn't I? Each December, a coral reef fell off the coast of Australia. A coral reef goes spawning spree. Okay. a coral reef off the coast of Australia synchronizes the largest release of egg and sperm on Earth. It's triggered by a series of environmental factors, including temperature and water salinity, as well as proximity to a full moon. Man, the full moon does a lot for the Earth, apparently. I guess that's why it's so heavily associated with like fertility, I believe it is, or maybe that's Earth. We'll look into some more of the metaphysical and maybe some like the mythological and folklore of the things inspired by the moon here in a bit. A 2013 paper found that the behavior of gray reef sharks is influenced by water temperatures, the seasons, and the availability of light. According to the paper, which analyzed 40 sharks near I'm going to say this, and it's going to be retroactive. I apologize for any and all mispronunciations. I'm just going to say I'm not actually an expert in any of the things I talk about. I know a decent amount of the things that I've been told, the things I have researched, the things that is just interesting for me to learn about, and I've retained the information of. So don't always take what I'm saying as complete truth. Always, if you have your own opinion, do the research. Look it up. I'm just a guy with a fucking computer in front of me. And you should never always trust the guy that is just sitting there and looking shit up on his computer, because I'm not an expert in anything I talk about, and I will always mispronounce like fucking shit like this. So before I continue, I am so sorry, but I hope you can forgive me and still enjoy what we're talking about. Which analyzed 40 sharks near Palau, east of the Philippines. Sharks tend to stay in deep water during a full moon and move to shallow water during a new moon. Interesting. Maybe having higher visibility in the ocean is like for the deeper sea creatures to emerge more, and that's why sharks are moving out to deeper waters to try to get some of that spillover from the deeper depths, something new to add to the menu. Lions are more likely to kill humans. Well, that is good to know. If you're ever coming up on a full moon cycle, don't be visiting any places that have lions. Avoid zoos, avoid lion tamers, circuses. Lions often struggle to catch animal prey during moonlit nights, likely because other animals can see them coming. So like I said, it's an ambush predator. The light probably, for a cat who's small and can hide a lot easier, it's probably an advantage so that they can see their prey and not be seen by their prey. But for something as big as a tiger who has to crouch down in the brush and has to compete against these extremely agile animals, it's probably best, or it's probably the worst time of fucking year for them is during the full moon. It's probably just really difficult for them to catch their prey. But I'm not sure how often lions hunt. How often do lions hunt at night? Because I've always known them to hunt during the day. How often do lions hunt at night? As a rule, lions hunt mostly at night and rest during the day, but are often active at dawn and dusk on cooler days. See, I honestly didn't know that. Like I said, I'm not an expert in fucking like any. I'm not an expert in any of the things I talk about. I didn't even know lions hunted at night, preferably. I thought they hunted during the day, and that's because of every documentary I've seen. They were always hunting during the fucking day, but it turns out they hunt mostly at night. Interesting. Lions are crepuscular, puscular. Like I said, I'm sorry. Which means they are most active during twilight hours. They hunt mostly at night and rest during the day. Lions have excellent eyesight and can see well in the dark. They use the cover of tall grass, dense vegetation, or gullies to ambush their prey. They also hunt more during storms because the noise and wind makes it harder for prey to see and hear them. That is clever. That is very clever. I didn't know that, and I think that's something documentaries should probably highlight more than just watching the fucking lion take down a gazelle in the middle of the fucking day. Because I am more interested in this piece of information than everything I've been told. That's fucking cool. Lions spend about 20 hours a day resting or sleeping and only 1 hour a day on average hunting. It's common for lions to sit and observe their prey during daylight hours, usually just before sunset. Huh. So they're just sitting there chilling and... Once within range of smaller prey, lions use their paw to slap the rear of the animal at its legs or haunch to knock it off balance or drag it down. A bite to the neck or throat quickly kills the animal. Unlives the animal. So yeah, that is something we learned today. Lions actually hunt that night. I'm actually going to write that down. Boom. Sleuthing. Lions often struggle to catch prey. We read that according to a paper. While moonlight limits lion success at hunting animal prey, the last day of a full moon represents a dangerous time for humans. The majority of the victims in the study were attacked between dusk and 10 p.m., when humans are most active, on nights when the waning moon provided little to no light. So humans are easy pickings when it's dark, and that's if you think about it, that's probably where humans are animals too. We're mammals. We got hair, we got vertebrae, the thing that is a bunch of bones stacked on top of each other and goes up your back, that spinal column cord thing. We're mammals. You can't get around that factoid. And as mammals, we have animal instinct, and a lot of that animal instinct is a fight or flight response. But when we're not in those things, we're thinking about things that could hurt us, could harm us, and a big fear that's shared amongst a lot of people is that fear of the dark. It could definitely come from these moments where people are very active but light is low. You're just trying to get the end of the day fucking done, over with, so you can go home and relax, and you can't because you gotta finish this bungalow and taper off a few more leak proof trimmings. And then next thing you know, you're fucking attacked by a goddamn lion. But you don't know that. You you're standing on, maybe it was your friend that was attacked and he's standing on the other side trying to lift it up, and you're like, where the fuck did you go? Walk over there and he's fucking gone, because you couldn't see that lion, you couldn't see anything, so your imagination went wild, created this interesting crazy fucking idea of what took him in the middle of the night. What couldn't you see? Like, and maybe, you know, it's a lot of where a lot of mythology comes from. Some dude just made his own story up. And I guess that's a good transition point into the next topic. Let's talk about some of the folklore. Folklore. God damn this fucking thing. Folklore. Inspired by the moon. Folklore. The moon has inspired many stories and legends. Fertility. The moon cycle is associated with women's menstrual cycles, which both last about 28 days. So that's how, I guess in a way, the moon is associated with fertility. I think it's also safe to assume during the full moon how many different things in the sea and maybe on land are in bloom. Aren't there certain flowers that only bloom during the full moon? Flowers that only bloom during the full moon. Selenicerus grandiflorus. Alright, let's see this beautiful thing. Wow, that is something to write home about. It's the middle of the day in this fucking picture. But that is pretty. And does it bloom only during the full moon? Commonly referred to as the queen of the night, is a night blooming, meaning blossoms. I'd never assumed night blooming ceres means that it blooms at night. Daybreak sees a flower wither. Interesting. Learn religions. That's about Christmas, it seems. I don't know if Reddit's gonna be the best spot. Japanese Moon Man. Okay, talking about a billionaire and fashion tycoon who booked the first seat on SpaceX's lunar spaceship. I was not trying to find this Japanese Moon Man. Oops. Bathala created 7 moons to light up the sky. The Bakunawa, amazed by their beauty, would rise from the ocean and swallow the moons. Let's learn about Bathala. Bathala and the moons. In ancient Philippine mythology, the supreme god Bathala created 7 moons to light up the earth. Each moon would illuminate one night of the week. The Bakunawa, a sea serpent deity, would rise from the ocean and swallow the moons. This angered Bathala and made them mortal enemies. The Bakunawa's morals were that of love does not always prevail. This moral does not apply to all myths, but is still a factual. But yeah, they're not wrong. Love doesn't always win, and it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard truth, and it is. What's the word? In a way, calming. It's a bit and I can't even think of the word. It makes me feel good and relaxed to know that not everyone is being spoon-fed, sugar-coated bullshit. That it's not always the case that good will always prevail. Just for being good, and love won't always be the answer just because it's love. There's a lot more work that goes behind doing everything you need to do. So it is good to see that one of the morals is that in a way it doesn't always work out, but that's why it's called work. You gotta work on it to make it work. In Tagalog mythology, Mayari is the goddess of the moon. She is the daughter of the supreme god Bathala and a mortal woman. She is also known as the most beautiful goddess. Let's kind of learn about this one. In one of the we talked about this earlier again. I'm not a historian. I do not speak every language of the mythologies we talk about. Pampangan myths, Mayari and her brother Apolaki fought for the earth's right to rule. During the fight, Mayari lost one of her eyes due to Apolaki's bamboo club. He just fucking knocked that shit right out. He then asked her for forgiveness and agreed to rule with her at night during the day. They were just trying to play fight. It was like little kids, like, I'm gonna rule the earth. No, I'm gonna rule the earth. And, one of them pretended to hit too hard, knocked her eye out, and was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, please don't tell Dad. And it's just like, look, we can do this together. Just don't tell Mom or Dad, and we'll be fine. In observance of Mayari and tradition known as the courting of Mayari occurs on the night of the full moon. During this event, the suitor gives the woman a gift known as a Man, they need to stop doing this to me. Sampaguita, which she can wear if she accepts the partner as her choice. Alrighty. What the hell is that? Is it like a dress? It's a flower. The national flower of the Philippines. It is a member of the jasmine family and native to southern Australia. also known as Asian jasmine, Arabian jasmine, sacred jasmine, Asiatic jasmine. Symbolizes love, devotion, and strength. Its white flowers are believed to symbolize purity, fidelity, and hope. It has a sweet and refreshing smell that can be compared to midnight jasmine. So if you don't have Asian jasmine, if you have midnight jasmine, that's what you can compare it to. Where are we at? Which she can wear if she accepts as a partner. Yep. She's multi-layered outfit that features vibrant beads and various accessories, such as a yantok and a baston, and 2 fighting sticks. Despite her soft features, Mayari is still considered to be an epitome of strength and beauty, and also the most beautiful of all the goddesses. She's fucking conceited cunt is what she is. In the Philippine pantheon of gods, she is also often depicted as being tattooed and having one eye with a scar over the other. Alrighty. So, beautiful warrior goddess. Basically, Disney's next character. In Tagalog mythology, she is the daughter of Bathala, who was the supreme creator. She is the sister of Hanan, the deity of dawn, Adla, who is the god of the sun, and Tala, the goddess of stars. So it's just the entire astrological pantheon here. In some mythology, Tala is Mayari's daughter. In one story, she proposed to... Ain't that her brother? Oh, not proposed, like engagement. To her brother to rule the land equally. However, he chose to rule as one. This led to a fierce and divine war. We talked about that. He knocked out her eye. He was like, don't tell mom. And that's how they're all good. She is a goddess of revolutions, war, hunt, weaponry, beauty, strength, moon, and night. She's kind of the full package. She's got her hands in every fucking profession here. She's now become synonymous with Filipino women. The weapons that she uses are made from bamboo or kamagang woods. She also has a variety of weapons such as yantok, which is a long stick that measures up to 36 inches long, and a blue basin, a short stick about 24 to 28 inches in length. So she just has some sticks to whip around at you. Alrighty, well that's her, the goddess of the moon in the Filipino countries. Native American legend. Ooh. Or some mythical creatures that are associated with the moon, similar to how the phoenix is with the sun. It's a good question. We all know about the werewolf, obviously. I feel like there should be more. Unusual myths and theories about the moon. Full moons make you crazy. Yeah, there is a crazy study about the full moon and how it kind of just makes people a bit extra. Aliens inhabit the moon. In the 1820s, the Bavarian astronomer Franz von Paula Grothensusen claimed to have glimpsed entire cities on the moon with his telescope. He wrote that the Lunarians who lived there had built sophisticated buildings, roads, and forts. Most of his colleagues scoffed at his assertions, but he eventually got a small lunar crater named after him. Sir William Herschel, a prominent British astronomer and composer, also thought aliens lived on the moon and made regular observations about the progress of their construction projects. In 1835, when the New York Sun published a series of fraudulent articles about the supposed existence of life on the moon, pulling off the so-called Great Moon hoax, it falsely credited Herschel John, a famous astronomer in his own right, with a shocking discovery. I think I do remember hearing about a guy who astral projected to the dark side of the moon. And who astral projected to the moon. Man, it was such a crazy article. I wish I could find it for y'all. But basically, the dude, it was, I think it was a CIA thing too. But the dude basically astral projected and said that he made it to the dark side of the moon, the part where everyone's like, what the fuck is over there? And was just like, there's like an alien civilization, and I was there for like 20 seconds. I was looking through some sort of window port, and they looked at me and said something, and I was like, outie fight outie. So he's it was such an interesting article to read about that, and I really wish I could find it for y'all, but it was just a fucking weird as shit. The moon controls fertility. So we did actually talk a little bit about that. I mean, maybe not so far as a menstrual cycle being so directly related to the moon, but there's a lot of like the blooms in the coral reefs. Such a big event that happens from the cycle of the moon, and it's directly associated with one of the moon's phases, so I wouldn't scoff at that. The moon is a hollow spacecraft. It's so basically the moon is just a giant fucking Death Star, or the Death Star is supposed to be bigger than moon, isn't it? So it's mini Death Star. So a couple of scientists basically took that one guy's idea about it being inhabited by the moon and took it a step further and was like, it's empty, and they're riding around in it like a giant spacecraft. It's just, I think that's a bit far-fetched. We never really went to the moon. I'm not going to get into that one. That one's a bit controversial. I do believe that I think we probably have the technology, or at least we did then, to make it to the moon. Humans are, when we set our minds to something and we are like, we're going to achieve this, and fuck all who don't think we would, I want to say a good 7 out of 10 times they'll achieve it. I don't want to go like 9. That's a bit optimistic. 7 out of 10 times sounds like a very, maybe even less. But when people want something and they're willing to do whatever they can for it, I believe that we can do almost anything. Even in that time period, it's possible. We definitely had the technology and the ability to make it to the moon. So, yeah. It's as far into that as I'd like to go. If you have any opinions about anything we're talking about, though, please feel free to give a comment. If you have any interesting topics related to the moon, feel free to give us the your thoughts or topics, and we'll definitely go down that rabbit hole as well and try to figure out what it is about that we can learn, because that's what this whole channel is about, or at least this live portion of it, is that we just get to sit here and learn about things that we want to learn about, I guess. So yeah, why did people believe the moon was made of cheese? I've always wondered where that fucking weird ass like myth came from. The idea that the moon is made of cheese is a myth, obviously. That was never a popular belief. I feel like I heard it fucking everywhere in every cartoon. Like, at least, you know, in my time period growing up, Tom and Jerry was always making the moon look like cheese. The myth originated in 16th century when green cheese referred to cheese that hadn't matured yet. This cheese, it was circular, mottled, and creamy in color, which looks similar to the moon. The myth was used to suggest that someone was gullible. Okay, so it was just meant to basically say someone was a fucking fool. I didn't think anyone ever actually believed the moon was cheese, but I always wondered why it was like, why people use that trope in cartoons and stuff. It's weird. Such a anticlimactic fact. The idea that the moon was also came from Aesop's fables. These fables, fools chase a cheese wheel that turns out to be the moon or a reflection of the moon. Aesop's fables. Why is that so familiar to me? The moon is made of layers with heavy minerals like iron, and at its core, and a surface covered in dust and rocks. For a big, boring ball in the sky, it's inspired a lot of interesting stories and deities and creatures of the night. Aesop's fables. What is it? I'm not trying to look at the cartoon. I'm just trying to look at the general. I hate using Wikipedia for answers, honestly. Aesop's Fables, or the Aesopica, is a collection of fables accredited to Aesop, a slave and storyteller who lived in ancient Greece between 620 and 564 BCE. Of diverse origins, the stories associated with his name have descended to modern times through a number of sources and continue to be reinterpreted in different verbal registers and popular as well as artistic media. Jesus Christ, that's just a collection of stories from a Greek slave. Man, how many fucking stories is in here? How many things did this guy write? A total of 655 plus fables. Jesus Christ. We now have the domain name. Please book. If you want to check out more of these stories, definitely come check here, because they have a fucking ton apparently. Our online collection of Aesop's fables includes 655 plus fables format. With morals listed, there are more ways. Most were translated into English by Reverend George Filer Townstead and Ambrose Bierce. The rest from Jean de la Fontaine in French and translated to English by several good internet souls. Good for them. I always love it when the internet pulls through together to make knowledge readily available. Knowledge should not be kept behind bars. Hate to be that guy, but real audio. Is there any text? Is it all in audio? Or do I? Let's just go to a flare modernism and legality. The story is quite different from what would normally be Aesop, often with a twisted humor. Some are outright hilarious, the way he makes original fable have a different meaning. The fables are slightly of a more mature nature, but still readable by any age. There are no morals to go with these, but the meaning is still there. They are not sorted, and the order is as published. Okay. So let's just pick one. Let's pick The Cat and the King. Is that everything? All right. The Cat and the King. A cat was looking at a king as permitted by the proverb. Well, said the monarch, observing her inspection of the royal person, how do you like me? I can imagine a king, said the cat, whom I should like better. For example, the king of the mice. The sovereign was so pleased with the wit of the reply that he gave her permission to scratch his prime minister's eyes out. Jesus Christ. What a fucking interesting story. The Bumbo of Giam. The Pandor of Madagascar and the Gukul of Patagonia were disputing about an island which both claimed. Finally, at the suggestion of the International League of Cannon Founders, which had important branches in both countries, they decided to refer to their claims to the Bumbo of Giam and abide by his judgment. In their settling the preliminaries of the arbitration, they had, however, the misfortune to disagree and appeal to arms. At the end of a long and disastrous war, when both sides were exhausted and bankrupt, the Bumbo of Giam intervened in the interest of peace. My great and good friends, he said to his brother sovereigns, it will be advantageous to you to learn that some questions are more complex and perilous than others, presenting a greater number of points upon which it is possible to differ. For 4 generations, your royal predecessors disputed about possession of that island without falling out. Beware, oh beware the perils of international arbitration, against which I feel it my duty to protect you henceforth. So saying, he annexed both countries, and after a long, peaceful, and happy reign, was poisoned by his prime minister. Interesting. It just sounds like this guy had a very dry sense of humor, honestly. And it's not like they're bad little anecdotes, but it's just, I love them. A robber who had plundered a merchant of 1,000 pieces of gold was taken before the Cadi, who asked him if he had anything to say why he should not be decapitated. Your Honor, said the robber, I could not do no otherwise. I could do no otherwise than take the money, for Allah made me that way. Your defense is indigenous and sound, said the Cadi, and I must acquit you of your criminality. Unfortunately, Allah has made me so that I must also take off your head, unless, he added thoughtfully, you offer me half of the gold, for he made me weak under temptation. Thereupon the robber put 500 pieces of gold into the Cadi's hand. Good, said the Cadi. I shall now remove but 1/2 your head to show my trust in your discretion. I shall leave intact the other you talk with. I absolutely love these fucking short little stories. Man. So Aesop and the people who translated his work obviously were men of culture and class. I would definitely recommend checking out some of these just funny little stories. It has nothing to do with the moon or what we were planning on talking about today, but definitely something worth checking out. And I guess on that note, let's find one more thing to read just to end it off on. I really didn't have a whole lot planned and laid out for this stream. It was very free form. We were just gonna go on and sleuth a bit. Glad if any of you enjoyed the sleuthing and learned anything interesting. Hopefully it was about the fucking lions and how they don't hunt during the day like every documentary I've ever fucking seen told me. They hunt at night, which makes a lot more sense. Anyways, I appreciate you stopping in. I'll read one more fable here. Let's look for a good one. Old saws with new teeth. The Ants and the Grasshopper. Sounds a bit fitting. My stream started with ants. Well, I guess recently, since I started trying to adhere to more of a schedule. Yeah. So let's just read this one to end the night on, and just know I love you. The Ants and the Grasshopper. Some members of a legislature were making schedules of their wealth at the end of the session, when an honest miner came along and asked them to divide with him. The members of the legislature inquired, "Why did you not acquire property of your own?" "Because," replied the honest miner, I was so busy digging out gold that I had no leisure to lay up something worthwhile. Then the members of the legislature derided him, saying, "If you waste your time in profitless amusement, you cannot, of course, expect to share the reward of industry." So, if you really want to work hard for something, don't enjoy what you do. Or at least if you want to make money, if you want profit, don't enjoy what you do. You do what you do as hard as you can until you fucking hate it, apparently. But we're in this for knowledge. So I'm glad that y'all stopped with me tonight. If you did, I'm glad that y'all hopefully stuck around to listen to some of the interesting tidbits about the moon, a few of the tidbits about Aesop, and I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your night, or wherever you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, rest of your day. I love you, and good night.